this is my first day really sitting comfortably at my desk. I can bend my knee enough to sit, and I am now walking with crutches, light steps, just bearing a little bit of weight on my foot as of a couple of days ago. I'm still getting around in the neighborhood by wheelchair, and I'm building up these guns here. You know, I feel really strong. I remember when I first started on crutches, my arms were screaming just bloody murder. It's so hard to lift your own weight. So this experience for me, some of you who don't know, I had a major accident. Well, I prevented a major accident from happening. And in doing so, I broke my leg in 3 different places. So I had massive surgery, and I've been horizontal for a good deal of the time and focusing on exercises to rebuild my leg and rebuilding my arms, of course. But I have to tell you, healing takes everything. And I feel very privileged to have the opportunity to heal, to have resources around me that I know certain people don't have, to have knowledge of alternative treatments that have supported me greatly, like acupuncture and massage. And thank you to those who added to our GoFundMe. That's been really wonderful, because when I have cooked in the kitchen, I have to kind of balance on one leg, because if you're in a chair, you can't reach the countertops, you can't chop, you can't reach for anything that's up high. So, you know, it's a lot. But what I want to talk to you about really is regression. And this is one of my major learnings through all of this, is we think of regression as a failing, in a sense, a setback. And regression can happen in many ways. It's kind of a strong term, to regress could mean to return, but it can get interpreted as failing, like losing a job, a relationship, a body part, so you don't have the comfort of what you're used to, and it can feel like a failing. But I like to think of it, for me, it's been like a regression, so that's an opportunity to return to what is essential. So in order for evolution to happen for any of us, or for the planet, for Earth, there's always a time period of regression where we cycle back, we circle back. And in that cycling, that circling back, it's an opportunity to gather what has been missed along the way, what needs attention. What do we need to attend to? What needs to be listened to? What still needs to be felt? So I think that regression is kind of frowned upon a bit in patriarchal, masculine spiritual cultures, which even non-duality can be very dominant from a masculine point of view, which is a remnant of patriarchy, where women's experience is meant to be invisible. Feelings are invisible. Our humanness can even be pushed away, pushed aside. But when we really allow ourselves to regress and collapse on the lap, so to speak, of the Great Mother, the holding of the earth, the feminine soul is retreating into an ecstasy, actually, that is intrinsic to our nature. We are conditioned spiritually to think about enlightenment, nirvana, heaven, as something that we progress to in a linear sort of way. And there are rankings, and in every level of these rankings, there is othering. So it isn't really inclusive. And when we have the opportunity to recycle and circle back, we get to notice what hasn't been included in our experience, whether that be our wounding, our traumas, our feelings, our missed experiences, our voices, the honoring of our bodies, our boundaries, our wombs. So all of this is a gathering that restores our feminine soul. And when I say feminine soul, I don't mean about a woman. I mean the feminine nature that is part of all of us, but has been shadowed over by masculine. cultures or dominant structures. So for me, having this accident has been amazing, because at first I had resistance to it. It really called on those lingering messages that I received all through my life from an early age of needing to work hard, to attend to everything, or maybe that I couldn't trust people, or that that only certain places are safe, which is true. But it really challenged my self-reliant character, like, okay, if I can't rely on my body and I have two people living in my house that rely on my body, then how do I attend? So I had to ask for help, and I'm not always comfortable with that, but I've learned, and this is part of the soul of the feminine, is to receive. There's an ongoing reciprocity, an exchange of giving and receiving that is much more wholesome, inclusive and grounded. Like, it really allows us to feel part of something. Like, even with teaching, I don't really refer to myself as a teacher, but if I am ever like giving a message, at the same time, I have to be learning at the very exact same time. There's this exchange happening, leading and following, student and teacher, giving and receiving, always, exactly in the same moment. And when that's happening, there's presence, and there's something inside of us is fortified. We're not better than, we're the same as. And I feel this is very much what is happening for some time now, this kind of leveling out the ground of humanity, seeing and experiencing how we are all the same in our humanness. And can we allow ourselves to feel everything and to lay on the lap of the Great Mother and let ourselves be nourished in a really deep way? Because then this reorganizes our brain, our neurology, how we walk in the world, and it informs a new way of being, a new way of engaging, because awakening really is an engagement. It's not passive in any way. We could say there's a movement and there's repose. So there is this kind of stillness and settling and listening, and can be still, but even in that stillness, there is movement. There's a receiving. And in that movement is, how do I engage? How do I respond? Like, what is the best next right thing? What is the kindest thing that I can contribute to myself or to anyone that I'm engaging with? So in the beginning, I was really, like, oh, this is like, oh, I wanted it to be over. I wanted to jump up out of my bed so many mornings, and then just laying there and like feeling energy in my body, ideas, creativity wanting to flood itself out, on the keyboard, but not being able to sit at my desk. And I have a laptop that just works poorly. So it's frustrating. And so it's like not being able to get out of bed, but for me, I know it's temporary. But I can imagine for people who do, have a permanent disability and can't get up and do what they want to do, what compassion for that experience. So to lay there, and then now here I am with my crutches. Here's one of them, my sturdy, assisting legs. And I have to count on these to still lift my weight, and then lightly, just one little step at a time. And we think in this kind of linear spiritual awakening that, that it is linear, and it's not. And that we are going to know the next thing, because somebody went there already before us and is on the mountaintop that we call bliss. Well, no, it's the ecstasy of, enjoying and savoring one step at a time. And in that, the next step is informed. You don't need to know it. You just make one step. and then the next one comes. So I don't know like how long it's going to take for me to walk without crutches. I don't know. But I'm not really concerned. Of course I want to go on long walks along the ocean. Of course I want to. But I'm also learning to adjust. We are adaptable. We do adapt to any given situation. We will even adapt to very negative, painful situations and find comfort in that. And then we stay in it because we know it. But that can't last for long because we're gonna get shaken, like suffering is part of the recycling, so it's okay. What's the most important thing? What's intrinsic to me right now? And we listen and we listen, and then we find the courage to stand up in the middle of it and feel all of it. So we don't get to the other side of anything that's difficult and painful until we feel it. And whether that means reaching out to have somebody, at our back during those hard times, holding our hand, offering us support, getting in a circle, circling with others. All of those things are great. And boy, believe me, I've had to do that during this time. It's been, 10, 11, 12 weeks. So that's what I wanted to share. And just remember that regression is not failing. It's a necessary part of evolution. And that ecstasy goes hand in hand with responsibility. It's intrinsic to us. And when we really let it be feminine, it's a listening and it's a responding. It's the feminine soul of wisdom, and it allows our hearts to be grounded beneath her soil, so that true oneness is the actuality of being in life with everything that's living. Everything, nothing is left out.